shorts on Ethereum over the weekend.
Awesome. I did.
Really, really nice one.
Yeah, yeah, good, good. I mean, I only gave shorts on Solana, Bitcoin, and XRP, but everything was dropping, so you could have really probably thrown a dart, and everything was kind of dropping at the same time, including
Oh,
Ethereum. So
oh, absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. All right,
good job,
man. Have a good day. I'm gonna be here for the duration.
good job, good job. All right, welcome everybody. We're gonna get this show on the road. Let me see, are we recording? Yes, we are. Mm-mm-mm. All right, so let's get the show on the road. All right. This is Solana on the weekly. As you can see, we did breach the floor at about 110 to 112K. We did drop down to about 97K. We did that back here too at one point, but this right here, guys, back last year for Solana was the rally. And as you can see, it was not a higher high here. So as we come down and hit this and bounce and then drop back below the floor, what we're waiting to see is and whether it's going to hold underneath. Obviously, if this green candle right here just climbs right back up and starts climbing, which is possible, just like I said for Bitcoin and everything else, it is possible, but it would have to break. I mean, it basically broke major support going all the way back to 2023 right here, right? So with everything kind of correlated with Bitcoin, let's go down to the daily on here and let's just see what it looks like. A lot of times when we break these things, we usually have a higher, higher candle, and higher candle as we're coming out. Here on the daily, we have a drop, another red candle, and then another green candle, which did go down a little lower. But the problem is not whether we're going to bounce out or not. The problem is the overall condition of the market right now in comparison to all of the indicators, the RSI and everything else, and Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is, as I keep saying, the tide that rises all boats and lowers them until there is decoupling and or what they call altcoin season, which is where Bitcoin loses dominance and altcoins tend to take on a life of their own and break away from correlation and continue to maybe go up for their rally. Now, when I say altcoins, guys, that pretty much covers everything other than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the only crypto that is not an altcoin. Everything else is considered an altcoin. But I don't really look at most of the altcoins. I'm not really caring too much about most of them. It's the major players, the ones that have utility, the ones that I think will be around for a decade or longer to come, that are more concerning to me. And that's why I personally focus on Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, Solana. You don't hear me talk about Cardano too much or HBAR and all these other ones, but those are ISO compliant, ISO 20022 compliant tokens, and they do have not only utility, but they are being used and in contract with financial institutions, banks, and the governments alike. So there is hope for all of those majors. That doesn't mean they won't go down to a much lower price before they reach new higher highs. But right now, as you can see with Bitcoin, let me just bring this up again. Let me see what happened here. I might have moved all of these lines. They're not in where I normally have them. What am I looking at here? This was the Bitcoin bottom right here. I mean, the bottom of the last bull market. This white line right here, guys, let me get rid of this for now. This white line right here goes all the way back to 2011. It was major resistance, then it became support, resistance, and back support again. And we haven't been under this white line since 2015. And then right here, we got under it at 2022. Bear market bottom. We came up to it. We hit resistance. We dropped back down. We came up to it probably right here and hit resistance again. And that was it. We never got back above it. But this was certainly a bull market, this whole bull market cycle. So if we take this green line and go down to the bear market bottom and we bring it up, obviously we did break the upward trending support on this bull market. And we come down to, I don't know, 80K, which is where I said that it needs to stay above. I said it needs to stay above 70K, but I mean, in the most recent drop, when I gave the shorts, when we were up here in this bear flag, obvious bear flag. Now I'm on the daily, so it's looking small right here, but I'll zoom in for you so you can see it. We had a big bear flag up against support. Bear flags up against support can break to the upside. But what was the support? The support was it wicked down to 80,500 and then came back up above this support. But this bear flag did break to the downside, bounced up and retested, and then dropped much further past the 8,500, all the way down to 74.5 again, at least on Trading View. On Phemex, it looks like about 85, but 74.5. So this is a exact double bottom right here. I mean, almost exactly. This wick right here looks like it bounced at 84,600. This one was 84.5, maybe 84.5 right there. But this right here was the previous resistance at 73.8. So a little shy of that on both of these, a little shy. But that doesn't mean we couldn't technically have a big bounce here. But when we have lower highs coming from the top, this high was lower than this high. We drop again. This low is lower than this low. And now we're getting down into the 70s. We got a different problem. Let's just look at a widening falling channel here. And the reason I gave these signals in the Discord was because, let me just go back over there. Was because all of the indicators, guys, every one of them have flipped bearish, except for the pi cycle indicator. That's the only one that still has not crossed and is nowhere near crossing. The pi cycle indicator indicates the top in a market. And according to the pi cycle indicator, the top is not in. But according to the Golden Death Cross, according to the EMA ribbons, according to the 50-day moving average, according to the Gaussian channel, and according to the Super Guppy, we've already flipped bearish up here. This was what they call a rally. We come down, hit this support area down here under the in the 80s and bounce, and we hit the 80s and bounced, but we only got up to about 97K. We never got above that. I was saying on previous calls that we need to get above 100 and hold in order to get back up to 105, 108. That would equal the shoulder on the left side. Could that still happen? Is it possible that this could still happen? Yeah. It's possible. But with all of those other indicators, and let me just go and show you, because I wanted to bring this up because right now, when we went down to this low right here at about 74.5 or 75K overnight last night, I was probably up quite a bit in profit from those three shorts, but it's come up a little bit since then, come back up to 78. And it's looking a little different now. Let's go back. Oh, geez, Valentine's Day. Never ends. Never ends with the holidays. So this is interesting right here. So we do have I'm going to get rid of all the lines and redraw them because this is starting to look a little confusing here, but let's just look. All right. I'm going to take a parallel channel and I'm going to draw these lines from the top to the bottom of the channel that we were in prior to breaking below it on Bitcoin. We had a little resistance. We came up to the top. We doubled. We had another top up here, a lower high. We come down to the bottom. As of right during this period over here, this channel did not exist. It was just forming. And then we hit it here. We bounced. We wicked down to it here. That's some kind of confirmation there. We bounced and we come down here and we come up and hit here. So if you just draw a line from the top of all these, that's a top line. Bring the line down. We come down and hit here and bounce. And then obviously there's confirmation there. We have resistance, support, 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 breakthrough, support right here, breakthrough, and we might be coming up to retest. This looks like a W. People are going to get excited and say, oh, we're back. Bitcoin's now, it's going back up. So here's what I would think could happen. Certainly we could come up to 78, 79. But if we cannot get back above this falling channel here, let's see what else is right here. What else is right here where we're trying to get back up? Whoops. Right here is where we're bouncing very close to the previous all-time high resistance and the most recent support right here at 74.5. So if I was drawing lines and starting all over again, this is basically what I do. And then we have a downward trending channel, the most recent downward trending channel that we broke below. We were in it, broke below it, came down to retest this and bouncing. So the question is are we going to break back through into this channel now that we've bounced, climb back up and break out for another rally, or not? Let's look at some other things here. Let's go look at some previous support and resistance lines going all the way back. Where we had a falling wedge, somewhat of a falling channel here. We did wick down to the 80,500 range. We did break out, but we did actually make a higher high here. That was the big bear flag that we were just talking about. We did kind of break out, but it didn't hold above any higher high here. Didn't hold above this. It hit it here, double top, went above it right here and fell right back below. It didn't hold above that level. And we fell below this channel and retested and then dropped. So what's going on? Is this the right shoulder of a giant, head and shoulder? Is this the relief rally? Is this the rally that was failed and that we're coming down now? Would it then look like this if that were the case? Boom. This line right here and this drop right here, just imagine that moved over. Like this is the bounce and this is this line down here. Not another one, not this and then another one. This right here, boom, bouncing and only getting up to here. And look at where it got up to. It got up to the moving average, a 50-day moving average, wicked up to it and dropped. That's usually a sign as well. And that was after the cross here with the 20-day moving average. So I'm still bearish. I'm still in my shorts, I mean, and I am negative right now. As you can see, I think I was like $2,000 or $3,000 positive when it got down to the bottom here, because I have, a whole Bitcoin on this one. And I did increase my contracts on XRP a little bit, but that's because I do think that it's possible that if we break below this 74, 75, and we get under this, that we could see much lower lows. Now, I was saying the other day, and I say it all the time, that even on the way down, we have big bounces. On the way up, we have big pullbacks. Up, pullback, up, pullback, up, pullback, up, pullback, up, pullback, up. Okay, and then this is the beginning of the end of those upward trending pullbacks, because every time we had the up, it was a higher high, higher high, higher high, higher high. But once we start having lower highs, that upward trend is over. And that doesn't mean we can't have another one, but here's what the downward trends look like. We have a high, a lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, until we bounce out of the downward trending channel and break out. We had a nice falling wedge here. That's bullish. This falling wedge was bullish. It did break to the upside after retesting the 74.5. But this one, we broke through the bottom and we're retesting underneath it. So that would be equivalent to us back here, kind of coming through the bottom of it and retesting here. That would not be good. Now, this was up against major support, and now we're up against major support again. So the likelihood of a bounce would make sense if all the other indicators were indicating that, we got a lot of buying pressure. We got a lot of the RSI is looking good. Speaking of RSI, let's just look at that, because on the RSI, on the weekly, we are still way down below the floor. Not only did we go below the floor and test it and retest it. Right here, we went below it and retested it, but we could not get back above it. That was right here with this big drop. This big drop, we went below it. We came back up to retest, and that's where we got rejection on the price. That was the big bear flag, and we broke through it to the downside. The fact that we did not get above this is telling, because this is the bearish divergence of the RSI. And I was saying that we need to get above this. And even if it gets here, you guys remember on my last few calls, I said, even if it gets here, this would only bring us to here, maybe 105, maybe 100 to 105. And it was even possible for this to go all the way up to 130 or 140 and this still not get above this. That would just be a continuation of bearish divergence. It means we would have a higher high, but we would still have a lower high here. But it didn't even come back up to try. It just fell right. It just retested the floor and fell right back down. And only thing I have to go by, guys, is history. So when I look at this and we just go back, whenever we fall through the floor like this, back here, let me just show you the price. It just so happens to be in the exact same spot in the last bull market where we came down from the top, bounced, had a failed rally, couldn't get up any higher, fell through the giant bear flag, and dropped. Right? That's the only time I can show you an example of what we're looking at down here on the RSI. Because it never happens unless it's getting ready to drop further. So if we look right here, we had that relief rally, we fell back, and we retested that bottom, and we just fell right through. And as you can see, below the bottom, below the floor, here is where we came back below it and we came up to retest it. But the difference here is that we actually broke through and we did retest the downward trending. We did try, and that was this pump. Boom. This one, we had that pump right here. Boom. We had that little pump up, but this one didn't even get above the floor. So that's even worse. It's even worse. That means that this, I mean, it pumped up and fell already. But that pump up right here was just us coming to retest the floor. We didn't even get back above it like we did here. So this rally here went up a little higher. Now, if I add back to all this, the 50-day moving average and the 21-day moving average and get rid of everything else, I mean, right when this pumped up, it retested that cross right there. It retested it right where they crossed. And that was the beginning of that end. Right here, in the current situation, all this stuff. It came up to retest right where they crossed. I mean, I can't even come close to making it up, guys. It is exactly the same thing. And then as soon as it hit it and couldn't get through it, as soon as it came up towards it, this time it back here, at least it went up and literally touched both of them when they crossed and then fell back through. This one couldn't even get up there. Now, could it still come up and retest them after the cross? Well, usually the spike up is when those lines are getting close together. Like here, the lines were getting closer and closer together. And this was coming up, coming up, coming up. And as soon as it crossed, boom, it wicked right through them and then fell. Over here, the lines were getting closer and closer and closer together. It was coming up, coming up, coming up. And as soon as it crossed, we had the highest wick. Boom. And it couldn't get up any higher and then fell. So very similar. That's all I can really go by is history in the charts. Let me get rid of some of this other crazy drawings and stuff that I have here. So that's the 21-day, 50-day moving average cross. And let's look at some other things here. Let's get rid of those. Super Guppy, we went over before. It obviously turned gray on that big pump up to where the cross was. In fact, I'll put those back on just so you can see. Right where these were crossing, even before, that's where the Super Guppy turned gray. Current situation, Super Guppy turned gray right before these were coming up, right before these were crossing, and it's already gray. It's gray right now. Significance of that is that the Super Guppy on the weekly has only ever turned gray right before a giant drop in a bear market. So does that mean we're going to a bear market? No, not by itself, but I'm trying to show you correlation between that and everything else. Let's go to the EMA ribbons. EMA ribbon, same thing. When we're in a bull market, we stay above the EMA ribbons. We get above it. Here's the ribbons. And sometimes we touched it. Sometimes we bounce off it. We stay above it, wick down to it, stay above it, come down. And this time back here in 2021, we went all the way into the ribbons. We even got down to the bottom of the ribbons right here and wicked right through, but came right back up and then held support above them and then made a pump back up to a double top. This is when we hit 68K. And then we come back into the ribbons again. We're in the ribbons. But as soon as we flip the ribbons, meaning we go underneath them and then hold as resistance, right here, we wicked back above, hit the EMA, hit the moving average cross right there, and then fell. Could not hold above the ribbons. That was the beginning of the bear market. If we go back to the time before that, again, above the ribbons, above the ribbons, above the ribbons in the bull market. We come into the ribbons, into the ribbons, into the ribbons. As soon as we flip the ribbons, meaning get underneath it, it attempted to get back above, right where the cross was happening. Couldn't hold above, came back below, underneath, boom, drop. Cannot get back above. And I can go back to all of the bull markets when that happened, but let's just look at the current one. We are stayed above. This is the bear market bottom right here. We get above it. This is the bull market. We stay above. We wicked into the ribbons. Back in 2024, when the ETFs were approved, as soon as we came up and hit previous all-time high, we went and touched the ribbons, went into the ribbons, and wicked down to the bottom of the ribbons, but we never went under them. Pulled ourselves out, created a new all-time high, wicked into the ribbons, pulled ourselves out, bounced on them, flipped. Right here's where they flipped and we went underneath. And it just so happens to coincide with the exact time of the market, which is the end of a 3-year bull market cycle. So it just so happens to be at the exact same time that the super guppy turns gray and, December 31st comes and the 12-month candle is over and all that shit. Everything that I've been going over for months and months and months. And we flip it and we can't get back above it yet. Now, is it possible that we just shoot above it? It is possible. But with everything else I'm showing you here, not only did we flip it and hold as resistance, but we've dropped further since. So I'm just breaking it all down for you here, guys. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of these. And what else is there? Of course, we got the Gaussian channel, which I went over the other day. On the 5-day time frame, Gaussian channel is just one indicator I barely ever talk about unless it's coming, unless we've already reached the top of the bull market. Normally, we stay above the Gaussian channel. We stay above it in a bull market. Like, let's just go back this is back in 2010. We're above it. This Gaussian channel, no one talks about the Gaussian channel when we're in a bull market because it's far away. It doesn't matter. But as soon as we reach a top and come down to the Gaussian channel and get inside of it, hit the center line and then come below the center line, hit the bottom line, and then get below the bottom line, it's bear market. And then next bull market, stayed above it, got into it, touched the center line, bounced, went below it, went below the whole Gaussian channel. It turned red. Bear market. Here's the next bull market. After that, 3 years up, hit the Gaussian channel, went wick down to the center line, bounced, came to the bottom, hit the center line, went underneath it, turned red, bear market. Here's the next one. We get above it, we stay above it, we're far away from it. Doesn't even matter. No one's talking about it. It comes down and touches it. That's when we hit 64.5 in the last bull market, 2021. We come down and bounce on it, and we actually wick down into the center of it right here. Bounce. And we come down, we couldn't get out of it. We come down and hit the center line again and bounce. And we do get out. This very rarely ever happens. We went all the way up to 68K, did not make a higher high. It's considered a double top. We fell back to the center line, bounced, couldn't get out, fell to the bottom, bounced, stuck underneath the middle. It turned red. Bear market. And then in this bull market cycle, we get above it. We're holding above it. Several times we wick down to it. We bounce. We get above it, bounce into the middle of it, bounce out. This time we come to the middle of it. We break through to the bottom. We break through that to the bottom underneath it and retest underneath it as resistance. It turns red. I mean, what else can I say at this point? So, does what happened in the past have to happen in the future? No. Can things change? Yes. But at the same time, all that's happening on the RSI, we're below the floor. Now let's go look at the stochastic RSI. We haven't used that one in a little bit. Let's go to the weekly on the stochastic RSI. Okay, well, here's something telling. We went down to the floor, we bounced. This is where we had our all-time high right here. And obviously it's a lower high. All-time high on the price, stochastic RSI, couldn't even get to the center line of the RSI. And then you got a blue line crossing the orange line to the upside. It started to pump, got up to 126, fell back below the floor, this dotted line. Got below the floor, and then all the way down to 80,500 right here at the bottom of the floor. starting to come back up, starting to come back up. This is that little pump, that little second breath of air or wind that it got. Boom, 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 boom. By the way, I switched to the weekly. That's why the Gaussian channel looks different here. Let me get rid of that one. But now the stochastic RSI got above the dotted line, both the orange line and the green line. That's looking positive, but all it did was wick up to the cross of the moving average, and then blue line crossed the orange line to the downside, and both of them are coming down now. That's bearish. So when I take all this into consideration, guys, it's very difficult for me to give you a different outlook than what I did yesterday and yesterday morning on the Sunday Zoom call. So with that being said, what is that? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Well, on my call yesterday, I talked about all the possibilities, but unless we really hold here above the 70, which is possible. I think I said over the last several months that 70, we're still technically in a bull market unless we break below 70K. I did say that over the last couple months, but when you take into account all the other things, this is 74, something. I'll just go to 75K right here. Boom, 75K down to 68.8. Why there? Because that was 68.8 was previous all-time high right here. So this is a zone. We hit it on the way up. We hit it here, resistance. We broke through and we hit an all-time high of 73.8 right here. And then we consolidated into a giant bullish flag, right handle of a cup. A lot of things were happening right here at the same time. Bitcoin ETFs were being announced. And we consolidated for literally 280 days or so, about 7 months. We wicked down here to previous support. Right there. Boom. Resistance, support, before breaking out, hitting the top, coming to the center line. If you put a parallel channel on this, you'll see we came right to the center line before breaking out. So this is the zone right here, this blued out zone. If we get below that, or even dip further down into it, I would say below 70, then all bets are off there as far as where we're going. I think it's very similar to where I said yesterday on the Sunday call. It would probably be somewhere in this range here first. I mean, we could certainly find some consolidation in this area over here, somewhere in this area at the 48 to 58 range, but this would be the next major support level. And then after that, I would say maybe 31.5. Now, I know that sounds like doom and gloom, but it's not, because this is a lot of money to be made on the downturn and the next bull market. Now, and by the way, everything I'm saying is dependent on a bull and bear market cycle continuing. Everything I'm saying is just charts. It's just price action. It's just technical analysis in the charts. Has nothing to do with fundamentals, has nothing to do with all the stuff that's going on around the world. And when we hear people say this time is different, it's based on all of that. That is the stuff we cannot control. That is the stuff that could make this time different, right? This time could definitely be different, and we could bounce here and we could go up to a new all-time high, and then the pi cycle indicators could finally flash, because that's one I didn't show you yet. Pi cycle over here, I showed it to you in previous calls, but the pi cycle cross happens at the top of every bull market cycle. So far it has. It has flashed, boom, that's the top, top, top when these lines cross, top. Interestingly enough, in the last bull market, it topped at 64.5. It did not top here, which indicates that this was not the top. This was just a double top from the top. So, and that caused, and that was the beginning of the end there. But when you look at it now, these two lines that need to cross in order for the pi cycle to flash a top are not even close to each other. They're far apart. Here's the red line right here. And here's the green line up here. They're not even close to crossing. So what does that mean? That means that the top is not in. According to the pi cycle indicator, the top is not in. So what does that mean? That means that this, if these two do finally come to cross somewhere over here, that could be the end of this year. That could be sometime in August, September, October, as I hold my mouse here. That's how long this would take to curve back around. Unless the price just miraculously shot up to 150K and all these other indicators were just wrong and they just all of a sudden correct. And all of a sudden this green line would just point straight down and this red line would just point straight up. That would have to happen very quickly, like within a couple of weeks. But that is unlikely because that has never happened. So now we're talking about the things that are possible that have never happened. And when we start going down that road, now that's becoming hope and expectation rather than logic. When I look at the charts, I'm looking at what has happened and what has historically happened and what happens every time this happens. If this happens, then this usually happens. If this happens, then this usually happens. But when we're talking about things that have never happened yet but are possible, yeah, anything's possible. I could get hit in the head with a Bitcoin right now coming through my window, a real Bitcoin, but unlikely. Notice how I looked out the window just to make sure when I said that. But so I have to be logical. You know, it's kind of like when I'm talking to my girlfriend, guys. I speak with logic and she's very emotional. And sometimes that causes more tension because I'm just being logical. It's my logical brain. And I need to learn to be better. And when it comes to talking to someone emotional, when I'm trying to be logical, I need to just get rid of the logic because there is no logic with emotion. And that's the same thing with trading. There's no logic with emotion. You have to separate your emotional feelings from this. And emotionally, I would love Bitcoin to shoot to $1 million. I want XRP to go to $1,000. We would all be very rich, those of us who have planned accordingly. But logically, is it going to happen right now? And I have to, using my logical brain, say no. Now, back to what could happen. If all of the powers that be and all the planets align with XRP and all the banks flip the switch and the Clarity Act is passed and everybody's ready to go, then could XRP just shoot up to $100? Yeah. But that probably wouldn't save Bitcoin and everything else. That wouldn't stop everything. That would just be a decoupling event where XRP has its own thing going on now and it breaks away from everything else. I'm excited for that to happen someday. And that could happen any moment. That's why I have a stop loss on this trade. But in the short term, XRP was, let's just be real, XRP was at $3.60 a couple of months ago, and now it's at $1.60. And so with that being said, we've come down quite a bit. Well, no matter how much I love XRP, if I would have shorted it up here instead of down here, I would have much more XRP. So just to be clear too, guys, I am not just trading. I also buy and hold. I have a lot of XRP that's just sitting there that has gone down in value over the last couple months. But my average purchase price, luckily for me, is still below $1. It was at 50 cents until I bought a lot more at like $1.40 or $1.50. Now my average came up, but I was really low because I had a lot of it at 49 cents. And then when all this new stuff started coming about XRP really gaining traction and Ripple really possibly being the one that's going to be the cross-border settlement token for the financial institutions around the world, I said, holy shit, I need a lot more of this stuff because even under $3, it's a steal. And so I was buying more at a higher price, which brought my average up, which is okay with me. I don't care. I will buy more again now, or even if it goes lower, I will buy more. Is it possible for XRP to drop as low as, let's say 50 cents or 75 cents or below $1? Yeah, again, everything is possible. But let's just look at XRP on the chart here on the daily, and let's look at what's happening. Let's go to one of these downward trending parallel. The overall downward trending parallel channel is that we just kind of bounced on the bottom of it, right? And we're kind of still in it, according to this. And we're bouncing here. So we could get a bounce. But last time, not the last time, I shouldn't say that. Last time we pumped all the way to the top. If we do that now, that could bring us up to, $1.70, $1.80. But it probably won't go straight up there. It probably will go sideways, hit the center line here, and maybe even come down like it did here. Bounce, went up to the center line, came down to a lower low. Here we wicked all the way down. This is when we had the big dump with the back in October 10th. Came back up, bounced up to the center line, came all the way down the line again. Bounced a little bit above the center line, came all the way down to a lower low, bounced again above the center line, lower high, and came to even a lower low, and then a lower low. And it did bounce up to the top here, but was still a lower high, and then came to even a lower low. So we are having lower highs and lower lows. Now let's go back to, where is the bottom? Where is the floor? It was a price range that I had between, I believe, $1.80, no, $1.90 maybe, and $1.60. And we are right there, guys. Look at that. We are on the floor. I mean, this was the lowest wick down right here to $1.60, I believe, back in April of 2025, which did get a nice bounce up, but it was still a lower high. And then we came down again and bounced it again before retracing. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was telling you guys we need to stay above this, and we could break out of this and come up to make a new high. But the reason why I'm not 100% sure of that now is because of what's going on with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the dragger. It's the denominating factor. It's still the correlator. It's still the one that's kind of pulling everything down. I'm going to put this back up here. My price range. And we're not just at the floor, guys. We are kind of under it, if you really look closely. I mean, we went under it, and we have a new candle it hasn't confirmed yet above it or below it. But one thing is for sure, you remember this one? When it wicked down here, it sucked back up quickly. This one, wicked down below this floor, it sucked back up quickly. This one, small candle, small candle, small candle, small candle, small candle, retesting underneath. That's very slow. It's not this pump and dump and pump situation.
Now you're looking at the daily, right?
Yes. If I go to a lower time frame, let's go down to the 4-hour. It might look like it's coming back above. It's bouncing on it right now after reaching the bottom of the downward trending channel that we just talked about. It's kind of having a little come to Jesus moment here, because it has to decide what's going to do. It's kind of under the floor, but it is bouncing on the downward trending channel. So what's likely to happen? Well, I mean, likely it could certainly bounce up to the center line, but if it doesn't make a higher high in what we call this is the most recent downward trending channel here. Let's look at this one. Inside the overall downward trending channel, we have this downward trending channel. And I'm not so sure we are back above that yet. Let me just get these lines all straightened out. We have top, top, bottom, bottom, wick down, bottom, 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 breakthrough, retest. Higher high, wicked all the way down to this line, retest, higher, higher low rather, wicks down, that's good, that's positive, but we're also retesting again right now with a W, which is bullish technically, but let me just show you a couple times when that's happened.
So this might be a good chance actually to go in long right here, right?
If you're scalping and you're not in a short, then yeah, it could be a nice little scalp to the upside. I'm still short. I'm short at $1.58. So my entry is below. So I might add contracts. If I'm going to stay short, I might just add contracts. But my stop loss is not far away. It's at $1.70. So I would have to do that relatively soon, or reverse the position or cut a loss. And the reason why I was very confident is because of the retesting and dropping here underneath the floor and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still, so to me, I mean, the overall trend is down and we're not even close to the top of it. So we're at the bottom of the overall downward trending trend. And we're kind of underneath the floor. Kind of. I mean, we're trying to get back above it. And we could definitely get back above it. And it looks like it is trying to. But to where? To what end? Maybe to the top of the downward trending channel. So let's see if we were able to break this and get back above and retest and then get, somewhere up in here, and that maybe, I don't know, will we just have another lower low? I don't know. Right back down. It did it here. It could come up and hit that downward trending channel, come all the way back down. It did that here. Boom, came back up, came down further. It did not make it all the way back to the top of this channel. It did here, but that was when we were above the floor. Now we're below the floor. So we got to look at all these little things, but that's not even the major indicators. The reason why I'm bearish on this and Solana and all the other ones is because of Bitcoin and all of the indicators on Bitcoin pointing to a flip into possible bear market. And if Bitcoin does drop below 70, guys, it's going to drag all of this down with it, even if this tries to pump up, unless XRP decouples and some major new developments happen in the banking world where XRP now is announced as the golden child that's going to do what everybody's been talking about for the last several years that it's doing. Did Clarity Act pass, or is it still being worked out? I think we got some problems with Clarity Act that haven't been clarified yet. Otherwise, we would have seen a big move already. We got the Epstein files. Now, some people might think, what's that got to do with crypto? Well, I don't know. Have you read the files? It seems like Epstein might be Satoshi Nakamoto after all. He might even be the father to the new mayor of New York. There's so many things that are coming out that I would have never guessed or imagined. Man, crazy stuff like you wouldn't even believe. We're not even talking about the stuff that Trump allegedly did, because all of that were false allegations or unproven, unsubstantiated claims by unknown people. But those were crazy enough as it is. But let's talk about the real things that they actually have verifiable proof of, which is the emails going back and forth from Epstein to all of these people, and how Epstein was heavily invested in Bitcoin and something called Blockstream. And what Epstein was trying to do was create his own blockchain, his own thing, and for governments, kind of like he was ahead of his time when it came to this stuff. He had emails going back and forth, basically telling the Ripple and the Solana people that they were a threat to his new company. They didn't want funding. They didn't want anybody funding Solana and XRP and Ripple because they wanted Bitcoin to be their goal.
You mean Stellar? You mean Stellar, not Solana?
Yes, I'm sorry. Stellar Lumens, XLM. That's right. Thanks for the correction. So crazy stuff that was like, I would have never thought. And you guys remember the old billionaire, what's his name? The crazy billionaire is always loud and
Dan Pena.
Dan Pena. You remember Dan
been
Pena
saying
saying that if you knew who the creators of Bitcoin were, you would sell immediately, you would get out. He knew, he said he knew. I don't trust that guy. I think he's a loudmouth.
I thought he said it was Putin.
Yes, I agree.
Who did he say it was, Bill?
I thought he said it was Putin. That's what that Dan
Oh,
Pena
I don't know if he ever said
insinuating
who it was.
Putin.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't know. I don't know if he ever said who it was, but if he was thinking that it was actually the pedophile guy who got arrested and ended up killing himself, if he really thought that it was Epstein, and the only reason I'm saying that is because Epstein was heavily involved back in the day in funding the people that were developing it and Mossad. And we're talking about the CIA and all the people that possibly were in the works for creating it in the first place. Not only that, but it was how they were moving so much money around without anybody knowing.
They're all guilty. They're all guilty. They're all guilty. All of them are. Whether or not their names in it, they had to have known.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Guilty by association at a minimum. You know what your people are doing.
Yeah, it's crazy, guys. It's when you really know what's behind everything, it's kind of nuts, right? So now, am I shorting Bitcoin because of that? No, I think Bitcoin could still go to $1 million, but because it's got a life of its own now and it's taken off. But when you really, if you really knew who's behind everything and why things come to be in the first place, it makes you think differently. And the powers that be, now you got 13 of the largest hedge funds in the world. You got Larry Fink and BlackRock and Grayscale and some of the biggest companies in the world pumping billions into it. Not because they like it, but because it's a moneymaker and they know it, right? And they're not stupid. Even Warren Buffett was talking bad about crypto and Bitcoin at one point, and I think one of his funds that he's heavily invested in now finally participated because, listen, it's like if you can't beat them, join them, one of those things. But there are certain cryptos, and the email suggests that Ripple and Ripple and XLM, Stellar, Lumens, didn't want anything to do with Epstein or his funding. And so it kind of made them look good. It made it even look more promising for XRP and less promising for Bitcoin. So there will be a decoupling, and there will be utility. There will be tokens that really do solve the problems and are used for utility purposes. I'm afraid to say that Bitcoin is not one of them because Bitcoin doesn't serve any utility other than a store of wealth, other than a hedge against inflation, which it is good for that. It's kind of like gold. If you got a bar of gold sitting in your home safe, it's not really serving any purpose unless you're using it for a paperweight because it's not convenient. You can't run around with it. If you had to get up and run really quick, you can't grab your bar of gold or your bags of gold. It's too heavy. Try to go through an airport with all your gold or silver. It will be confiscated, even if you're doing no wrong. Try to go through an airport with bags of cash or suitcases full of $100 bills. It'll be confiscated, even if you're not doing anything illegal. But you can do that with Bitcoin. You can do that with crypto. You can get on an airplane with a cold storage wallet with $1 billion on it, and no one will even know. So, and even further, Bitcoin and crypto, mainly Bitcoin because it's decentralized, is probably one of the only assets that you can take with you when you die. As crazy as that sounds, because if you don't leave the passwords and the 24-word C phrases and give someone access to your wallets, no one will ever get it. Whereas your real estate, your cars, your bank accounts, the gold bars, the silver, everything you got in your house will be taken by somebody when you die. But crypto, you could literally take to the grave. It's just one of the weirdest things. But with all that being said, I guess my point is that it's too soon to tell the fallout from all of this. Because it's not just that, it's that in the current cycle of things, if we're just looking at cycles alone, so we take the fundamentals out, we take the fact that, the Epstein files, we take out that we have a crypto-friendly president, we take all the things out that should be causing crypto to go up or down, one or the other, and just look at the charts, then we're going into the bear market. If we just look at the charts and the indicators. And it's very obvious, typical bull and bear market cycle, right? But if we look at all of those, we take all those other things into account, then it's questionable. It's like, yeah, but is this time different? And we keep saying that, and it could be. But when we look at the real estate, look at this. I showed you this Sunday, but for those of you who couldn't be on, this was 2008 going into 2013 when we hit the real estate top, and we had a we had basically a real estate meltdown because of the subprime mortgages and whatnot. And we went into a bear market technically for real estate. This is when we dropped 30%. By the way, this from here to here was 30% drop. And look what happened on the RSI for real estate. Dropped. It was technically what's called bearish divergence, where we have either higher prices or stable prices and a lower RSI. And then here we are, we pumped in this, from 2013 all the way to now, 2023, 24, 25. We have higher prices, slowly edging higher and higher and higher, and we have bearish divergence on the RSI. What's about to come, guys? What's about to come? I don't know, but it's not normally good when this happens. So if we saw a 30% drop in real estate, like we did back here, which is logical and, technical, when you look at the charts like this, that makes sense. Now, if that happens, we're going to have a correlation. It's all coming together at the same time. Is that normal? Stock market, gold, silver, everything reached its peak. It's high. Bitcoin hit 126. The real estate market hit all-time highs. Gold hit all-time highs. Silver hit all-time highs. Does that ever keep going like that? No. Stock market, all-time highs. S&P 500, all-time highs. No, what usually comes after that is a crash. So again, I'm not trying to be negative. I'm really not. I'm a positive person, but you got to look for what it is and what's going on and kind of separate your emotion from it. So now here's another weird thing. You see these things that I have up here, all this stuff right here, that is the Gaussian, that is the, my brain's not working.
The fib?
The Fibonacci. Man. So if we look at the fib in every bull and bear market cycle so far, we have several phases. We got phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and phase 5 of a bull market. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and phase 5. And 2.36 on the fib. I don't think I have these in the right spot. Let me bring this down. They've been kind of moved around while I've been showing other things. Something strange going on here. I might not have them set right.
When you're on log scale, there's a setting in the Fibonacci settings to tell it you're on log or not.
Oh,
Yeah, we had that issue before when we were trying to duplicate.
am I on
that.
low?
When you double click on the Fibonacci itself, it'll be in the input settings. So double click on any of them that you have on your chart. And then go down to the bottom. It should say logarithmic somewhere. There you go. So yours is set already. If your chart is set, then you should be good. And your chart, I think, where do you set that, Kimmel? Lower right corner.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It hides itself when you're not hovering over it. But if you saw it, it looks like it is because such small numbers on the right.
Yeah. I'm just trying to adjust this so I can explain what we're looking at here, guys. But generally speaking, so far through every bull, shit, keep hitting the wrong thing.
Bill, were you talking about checking the chart to see if the whole chart was on a log scale?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's not necessary. It shouldn't be anyway. Using the log on the Fibonacci should do the job. Pretty sure. Kim will correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't usually use that feature.
I actually don't know specifically whether it corrects or if it's just to match the scale. Dan Pena is entertaining, if nothing else.
For sure, right? He's a little crazy.
He was going off on climate change people.
Yeah, well, I agree with him on that. I don't like the way he talks to people, but I agree with him on a few things. But
he's rude.
Oh, he's rude as
Really
hell.
rude.
Yeah. This is what I'm trying to show you guys, and it's hard to get that to line up. For some reason, I have an issue on my charts, but we did it before and took a screenshot. But these are the different phases of a bull market cycle. Technically, we got phase 1 below here, 2, 3, 4, 5. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, phase 5. Same down here. And you can see down here on this is 2013, bottom left corner, that we hit the top of the 2.36 of the Fibonacci on this scale. And then in the next one in 2017, we went to phase 2, phase 3, it hit phase 4, resistance, broke through, held as support, and hit phase 5. And then we go into a bear market. 2021, bear market. Actually, it was like 2018 here, but then we go phase 1, phase 2, we break into phase 3, we hit the top phase 3, and we get all the way to the top of phase 4. This was at 64K in the last bull market cycle, 1.6 on the fib. We come all the way down and we come back up to retest, and we cannot get through the 1.6. So up to this point in 2021, 2 other bull markets before that, we not only went to the 1.6, but we went all the way to the 2.36. Down here was the 1.6. We went to the top, the 2.36. So 2 out of 3 of the last bull markets, which is 66% of the time, we hit the 2.36. 100% of the time, we hit the 1.6. This one, and this one. And here we are in the current bull market. The 1.6 would be $178,000. We did not come close to that yet. We did get into phase 4. We are in here. We went up to, maybe halfway to about 126, but then we've come all the way back down to this red line. This red line is where we need to stay above, which is the 70K. Otherwise, we're falling back into phase 3. And that usually is bear market territory when that happens. So that is the problem. That we are in phase 4. That's good, but we did not even reach the 1.6 on the fib, let alone the 2.36. If we hit the 2.36 like we did 66% of the time, that would bring us to 555K for Bitcoin. If we hit the 1.6, it would bring us to 178K for Bitcoin, give or take. And we've always hit the 1.6. So if the pi cycle indicator is correct, maybe we will have a run up to 176, 178. And that will be the high, but it didn't happen during the normal bull market cycle. The normal bull market cycle ended on December 31st. So that is the outlier there. That's the problem. So that's why it's very difficult to predict this time and just say, oh, it's just normal bear market, bull market, and we're just doing the same. According to a lot of indicators, that is the case. But according to some, like the pi cycle and the Fibonacci, up here is the 2.36 would be, up here in the 500K range, right about there on the 2.36, and right about here at 170, right here. That's about where we're at. But we did get above the 2 point. I don't have this in the right spot. I think I'm supposed to bring this down. We are in the phase 4. We didn't come back down to phase 3 yet. That would have to we would have to come below this level right here at 70K. But we have a ways to go to get to the 1.6, but we did do it in every other one. So that's another thing I wanted to show you guys. So with that being said, me personally, I have to make decisions based on what the most likely thing to happen is. And unfortunately, everything is showing downward trending until otherwise, so it's like here when we're looking at XRP all by itself here. If all we had to trade was one thing, looking at XRP, still having a hard time getting over that little line right there. I mean, this does look like a bounce on the floor. This red line is the floor. It does look like a bounce on the floor. It is above it, and it did wick all the way down to the downward trending supporting channel line. But still, in the grand scheme of things, here is the channel from here to here. And this is just the local channel. This is just the most recent falling channel on the way down from the top. And it did get below that, and it's trying to get back in, but it would literally need to go through into that to the top of that one, break out of that one, hold as support, and get above the floor right here. This is the top of the floor. Get above that, hold that as support, and break out of this overall downward trending resistance and hold that as support before I would say that we're on our way.
Are you
Now-
sharing your screen, or is that just a problem for me?
Yeah, he is sharing. Look in the upper left-hand corner, maybe.
There have been times when I'll talk for 10 minutes and I'm not sharing my screen and no one saw what I was talking about. So I know that's not the case this time, but it does suck when that happens. So
It does happen sometimes.
Okay, my bad.
you got it?
I spotlighted your share too. I think that helped.
Oh, okay, good. So yeah, guys. So, I'm looking at this from a totally logical, technical analysis standpoint. And the facts is that we are in a downward trending channel period. I know I keep reiterating this, but I just want you to really, really get it. We're below the center line on the downward trending channel. We went below the floor on the floor, and we went all the way down to the bottom floor of the floor. And we're still having a hard time getting above that. So a lot has to happen for us to break out. Doesn't mean we can't go up a little bit. And to some of you, that would be a lot. Like if we went up from $1.64 right now all the way up to $1.73, that seems like a huge pump, right? But in the grand scheme of things, it's not. It would have to come all the way up to like $2 and break out of this. And certainly could happen. I was optimistic about that happening just a few weeks ago. But with Bitcoin, and so that's going to bring me to my final segment here, guys, and that's Bitcoin. This is really the one that you have to really pay attention to, because it is the driving factor on everything. And when a lot of people say, how can Bitcoin drop and every single other crypto goes down? It's not human beings pushing buttons, guys. It's algorithms, it's bot trading, it's automatic happening. Bitcoin is just but look at Bitcoin. That same little situation with Bitcoin, it still has not gotten above the downward trending channel. It's trying. It looks like a W, possible W, right? Looks like it. But I can show you several of those where that didn't result in much. This right here, with this drop, looks just like here. With this drop, we'll see what this one looks like over here. But if I zoom out and scrunch it all up, it's just stair-stepping its way down. Boom, 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 break out, break below, boom, boom, break out, break below. We can't go backwards, but we certainly could go down further straight and then go sideways. So what I'm anticipating happening is probably, a drop and then sideways consolidation, looking like basically another bear flag underneath the floor, which is hard to get back above. Generally speaking, when you're underneath, then it's a bear flag. Bear flags tend to break to the downside, but if they're up against resistance, they're more likely to break to the downside. If it was bouncing on support, like if this was happening up here, then it's likely to break back to the upside. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We do have a little bit of something like that could be looked at it that way. We're kind of bouncing on support with what could be looked at as maybe a bear flag. But it's coming up to resistance, which is the downward trending support, what previous support. And that to me could mean that we are going to do one of these numbers. Everybody's going to think, oh, we're going back up. It's bouncing. And it goes boom, boom, boom. And then Add all of that together and then factor in the stock market. What's going on over there? Anybody got any insight to the S&P right now? Silver dropped 35%. Gold dropped back down 20-some percent. Is the stock market dropping right now?
Niko, I know you're on Bitcoin and stuff now, but if I was looking at XRP, and if you look, those two areas down there, like where it wicked on the 10th to, I guess, the 115, there's a spot right underneath. If you go to like November of 24, you can see it was never retested. There's like two areas that were never retested all the way when it started to take off.
Where
Like,
at? Where do you?
Like
what-
if you go back to November of 24 when it started to take off, you could see like right around 110. It looks like it stopped there and created a small bull flag a little, but it was never retested. It never came back and retested that area. Does that, I mean, could that be a spot that it wants to come like 107? 115 maybe, somewhere in there?
November
Markets.
24.
Markets are up.
Markets are up. Up from what? What was the low of the week? This is are you talking about right here?
Let me see.
Right here in November of 2024?
Yeah, and there's like two of them. I'm on the daily right now, Niko. It looks like it stops there and creates a tiny little bull flag and then goes up to the 150 area and does it again. Those two spots, but I mean that wick from the 10th looks like it might have came down and retested it, but does it have to go to both of them? Does it have to retest 150 and 105?
It doesn't have to, but it probably will. So if it continues in this overall downward trending channel, which I'm suspecting it will, I might not even if it stays below the floor right now that it's in, let me just tighten this up to where I think it is. I think we're below it right now, to be honest with you. I don't think we got back into it yet. But if
it almost looks like it hits the bottom of the downward trending channel and like 107 at the same time, you know, in another maybe a week or so. Oh no, that's like 2 weeks, February 24th.
if I take I mean, we did come down and hit this one here. Right there, boom, at 150. What did we hit? We hit 150?
Yeah, 151, I think.
Yeah. So we did hit that one. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. And you see the other one, it did, the one from October 10th didn't quite get down to the other one. It was like 105 maybe. It's almost like the same scenario as Bitcoin back in April when you wanted it to go to 68 and it only went to 76 or something.
Yeah. This wick right down right here is basically the top of this channel. And the one where it hit on October 10th is the bottom. So if I just take a zone and make this a whole zone right here, let me just get rid of that line. What you're looking at is a price range. So we went through it, hit the top, came down and held support, and then we pumped out. Here, we come down all the way through both the top and then hit support right at the bottom here. This one, we're hitting the top of this thing right here.
Right, but look just a little lower, Niko. You see the one
right here?
There you go, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have another bull flag right here that happened. This was consolidation. And if we zoom in here, we definitely had a little bit of a bullish flag that brought us, we broke out right here. Boom. We hit resistance, break out. And we went up and created another one here. This was more of this is still a bull flag, but more of a falling type of bull flag with, you know, more downward trending resistance on top, broke out. But yeah, so this right here, what you're talking about would be the next price range. Maybe somewhere between this wick down here and this wick up right here. Maybe even down to the bottom of that.
Yeah.
But that it would still have to go through this floor here first. But that would be the next support level, yeah, on the way down. Now check out what's over here on the far right.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's going to line up right with that. Yeah.
Yeah, we have this. Yeah, we have this giant upward trending line right here. Let me change the color of that so we can really see it here. Let's make it red. This line right here is the overall upward trending support going all the way back to when XRP was just a little child over here at 0.004 cents. And if we dial that in sideways like this, every time we pump up to a new high, we consolidate all the way over to this line, boom, pump up to a new high, consolidate all the way over to this line before possibly breaking out to a new high. I already have that. I already have it all drawn here, ready for it. But if we really look, I mean, it wicked down to this zone we were just talking about. Here's the next one down. And couldn't this come down and touch that line before breaking out? Yes. If that happens, now we're talking about the 120, 120, like where this one wicked down to. This one wicked all the way down to like 120 or so. But this line is in place still. And this downward trending channel could come right to it. And if it does, Bitcoin could certainly go down to the 50s and 60s if XRP is coming down that low to $1.30. Because XRP in correlation to Bitcoin is not going to drop. It may not drop percentage-wise as much as like Bitcoin could go down to, I'm sorry, percentage-wise, it'll seem like it's going down further percentage, but price-wise, it won't seem as far. Like Bitcoin drops to the 55 range. If that were to happen, if it got below 70, drops down to 55, 60K, 65K, then XRP would probably be right in here somewhere in the $1.30, $1.40 range. And, or we have, you see this blue line that I have here, guys? I don't know if these are strong enough for you to see. I got too much going on here. Let me just make it red. That apex, this upward trending support, downward trending resistance is the same as this one in the previous cycle.
But isn't this one an M pattern?
Yeah, so look at it here. It's the same as this and this coming down to this. So we could come down to this and we could still come up into this wedge, just go sideways. But this down part right here could come down further than normal, further than the floor, further than the upward trending support like this one did. But it already did that once. It wicked all the way down to $1.20 rather, when on October 10th. And since then, it's been trending down again to double bottom. I have a feeling we're going to see a double bottom there at 120. But whether it happens right now or it goes sideways like this all the way over to here, that could take a couple months. That could take until March for this to slowly up and down its way down to this point. Then we could see, but it's still in the upward trend, but it could wick right back above inside this channel before breaking out to a new high. So that could take a little time, but it also could happen anytime because of the Clarity Act and all these other things. And that's the only problem with XRP. It could decouple from Bitcoin because of its use case. I don't think everything else will, though. I think everything else can just continue to go down with Bitcoin, but XRP is one of the only ones that probably could decouple from Bitcoin when its use case becomes a for surety, where they're basically confirmed that it's going to do its thing, whatever it's going to do. And all these banks that have billions in contracts and, all in alignment, finally turn the switch on. They're going to need to lock up billions and billions of XRP. And it's probably going to come from over the counter first, but that's already happening to the tune of about 1 billion XRP per day. And that's why it doesn't seem like the price is changing, because they're not buying it on the retail market. But the supply shock is happening because the supply is going down. And most people think, well, if the supply is really going down, then why is the price not changing? It's because there's 2 swimming pools. The one swimming pool is being drained. Yeah, and we're all in the other swimming pool. It doesn't look like the water level is going down or up or anything. It doesn't look like there's any supply demand or anything. The level's staying the same. But the other one is being drained. And when that one's drained, they're going to have to get their water from the pool we're in. They're going to have to get their XRP from the retail market after that. And that's when the supply starts to go down drastically and the price increases drastically, quickly. But that could take some time still.
Chad, in a different camp last night about what the charts were saying as far as the immediate outlook.
I'm sorry, say again.
I said, didn't Chad have a different opinion last night as to which direction the charts were going to go as far as immediate outlook?
I wasn't on Chad's call last night. He may, yeah, he may totally have a different outlook. In fact, he's not convinced that this is a normal bear and bull market cycle, and that this time it could be totally different. And and I agree with the reasons why he thinks that, but I'm also looking at the logical, chart patterns and all the indicators as well. So I'm giving you both sides of what's possible here. I'm not telling you one thing or the other is going to happen. I'm basically saying that I'm more technical analysis as to what's likely to happen based on all of the indicators, but they could be wrong. It could be proven wrong. Doesn't mean I'm proven wrong. I'm just telling you what I think is happening based on what the charts are showing. But I wasn't on Chat's call, so I don't know what he said last night. Wait a minute, today's Monday. I did a call yesterday. Chad did a call on Sunday, or was it someone else?
Wasn't
No, that was John last night. John was
the
on
call
last night.
last night. It was just what you wrote and the Discord and the trade chat.
Oh, so it wasn't a call.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of traders out there with different opinions, and some people thinking that the bear market's in, some people thinking that Michael Saylor's buying billions more, and and we're going to have a super cycle to a new top. People have been talking about super cycles and God candles and parabolic moves, but I don't know where they're getting their information from. They might, in my opinion, they can't be looking at the charts. And so to me, that's just hopium. That's just enthusiasm. Or they got something to sell you. In other words, they want you to like their videos and their YouTube videos and all that stuff. I mean, I want you to like mine too, but I like to tell the truth about what's happening. I don't like to just make shit up and say, oh yeah, don't worry guys, Bitcoin's going to $1 million, XRP's going to $1,000. I believe that those things will happen, but not necessarily before we come and retest some of these lower, support lines and have some bearish cycle happening here, which is what all the other indicators are showing. Could all of these other indicators be wrong is the question. And they could be, but they have never been yet. So just because something's never been wrong doesn't mean it couldn't be this time. But I cannot say that just because something could be wrong, that it is, until it's proven wrong. All right. I'm not going to say that until I actually see that it's wrong. Like if all of the indicators that I just showed you stay bearish, but the price goes up to, 130, 140 on Bitcoin and everything starts to pump, but all the indicators are still showing bearish, I will never use those indicators again. They're wrong. Everything was wrong. I just never seen that happen before. But that's where fundamentals, that's where things can change when, like I remember guys back in the day when Bitcoin was maybe 20 or 50K on the way up, and Elon Musk would come out and say something like, hey, yeah, I liked Bitcoin, but I don't think it's good for the world, for the environment. So I'm not going to use Bitcoin anymore for Tesla. And all of a sudden Bitcoin would drop 20% that day just because Elon Musk said that. So there are things that can certainly happen out of the blue that have nothing to do with technical analysis, right? And so that could happen again. Trump or somebody could say, the new Fed chair could say, hey, we're flipping over from the old system, the Federal Reserve banking system, to the digital crypto. XRP is going to be the cross-border settlement platform of choice. Bitcoin's going to be the US Reserve. Boom, things just shoot to the moon. Yes, that would happen if those things were said, probably. But they're not being said right now. In fact, Trump is probably more in defense mode about what just came out in the Epstein files. And now he's not even mentioning it. He's not even talking about it. But, the mess has to be cleaned up first, in my opinion. There's a lot going on right now. But more importantly than even Trump doing anything scrupulous in the Epstein files, we got Epstein himself, who was part of the creation of Bitcoin. And there's things in the Epstein files that are just mind-blowing to me that have nothing to do with pedophilia. Has to do with what Epstein was investing in as the head of Mossad and him trying to shut down Ripple and Stellar Lumens back in 2014, guys. Like things that were going on behind the scenes that we would have never guessed that was in the Epstein files. Conversations that he was having with these leaders of these cryptocurrencies while he was trying to create his own block stream and had billions of dollars from Mossad, Israeli intelligence, investing into Bitcoin in the creation of certain platforms, and probably how they were moving so much money around behind the scenes with crypto, when most of us weren't even looking at crypto at that time. So crazy stuff coming out. And with all of that uncertainty, guys, that's what it creates. It creates uncertainty in the markets. And this is why everything's indifferent right now. The price isn't going up. It's gone down a little bit, but it's not shooting down. It's definitely not shooting up. It's kind of like stuck in the middle. It's in this kind of, purgatory stage where it doesn't know what to do. And with that, those of us who have to, commentate on it and give our opinions on it, it's difficult because what we believe sometimes gets held accountable, but to accountability. But at the same time, that's why I like to give you all possibilities rather than just one viewpoint. Because if you look at all these levels and XRP breaking the floor, coming all the way down to, $1.50 and bouncing, yes, it is bouncing, but is it bouncing back up above into the overall channel? Is it bouncing back into the downward trending channel? It's trying to. It just hasn't yet. Has it gotten back above the $1.70 floor here? No, not yet. It's trying to. Is it going to is the question. And unfortunately, as long as Bitcoin continues down, it'll probably pull XRP and everything down with it until it decouples. Let's now back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin did bounce right here on that 74.5, which is the same level Chad called back here as the bottom. Boom. And then we did break out. That was a nice falling wedge. We wicked it down to 74.5 right here, which was basically the previous high right here at 73.8. It's not exact, but it is a zone. It is a buy zone. It is a level, right? So that's definitely the bounce on that. And here we are retesting it right now. Boom. Right down to 74.5 again. And we do have a green candle. After a couple wicks to 75, we wick down a little further. But, when we look at some of the higher time frame indicators, there's still a lot of bearishness going on here. And I don't know. This to me looks like a failed rally here on this side, creating what might be called the right shoulder of a giant hidden shoulder. Here's the floor down here that we've been talking about for a while.
Or an upside down cup, no?
Then you could look at that too as well. If there was no shoulder, this would be an inverted cup and handle. And yep. And that would bring us, that could, if that is true, and that is the case, it would bring us down into the 60s. And if we go into the 60s, this is all I've been saying all along, guys. If we go into the 60s, if we get below 70 and we can't get back above it. And by the way, when I say can't get back above it, what I always mean by that is on the daily time frame. We need a daily, preferably a weekly candle, but a daily candle at least holding below, which means this is the daily time. This is the weekly right now. We would need a candle to get under the 70 and then another candle to start open underneath the 70. In other words, this candle that gets down below, this candle, if this wicked all the way down, it wouldn't count. Even if it went to 64K, it wouldn't count if it just went right back up and held up here. It needs to come down and then the next candle opens. And this next candle, even if it comes up, it has to find rejection at 70 and then start to come back down. If it holds under 70, that to me is bear market. To me, we're going down and we're going to go down to probably 49, 50. That's just my opinion. That's just what I'm thinking. So every time I'm talking, guys, just know that I'm basically saying, if this, then that. If this, then that. Now, on the other hand, if we hold here at 74.5, like we just did here, and we can get above the downward trending resistance, which would be back up to 84, 85K, and we hold above, and we can get above that, then yeah, we could see 90s again. We can get up above that. We can come back up and hit the 100K right about here. We can come up and hit 105, 108. That would definitely look like the other side of this. But will that go this way after that, or will it go to a new high? That's the question. And no one can tell you that. That's crystal ball stuff. But in order for even this to happen, this has to happen. This has to happen. This has to happen. All that has to happen first. And right now, we're kind of down below the floor. We're below 80 in the 70s. So that's just my take on it. Chad has different take. I'm sure other traders have different takes, but I'm trying to give you every possible angle of this so that you can make intelligent decisions. And I know it's difficult when you're counting on, the leaders of the group to tell you exactly definitively one way or the other when there is no real for sure answer to anything, because anything could happen. But what I have to go by is what's been happening and what it looks like to me. This rally right here from 80K up, based on everything I showed you, right where the EMA, right when the we already flipped the EMA ribbon, right where the SMA 50 and the 21 moving average cross right here. If I put those back on, you'll see clearly that just so happened to cross right here on this wick up. Historically, that's usually been the beginning of a big dump. We did dump after that. This just is a bounce. Could there be more dumping to come? We got on the weekly, we got the stochastic RSI. It did get above that on that wick. On this wick right here, we did cross above, but then we've already crossed below and back down below the 20 on the EMA. I mean, on the RSI. That's bearish. So I have to look at these things, guys. And we have 6 days and 6 hours left of this until that changes. But that's why when I say a candle has to hold for at least a day, because this candle that you see, that green candle right there, means nothing right now on the weekly, because it could turn red again. It has 6 days and 6 hours left to do something up or down. It's just forming right now. It's only been in existence for a few hours. It's got the rest of the week, 6 days left to either go up or down, up and down until the next candle opens. But it could drop or it could go all the way up. It could do a lot of things. So until then, I can't know. When we looked at XRP, we just talked about that, and I also had a short on Solana. So let's just look at Solana. Solana breached the floor like it did back here. Wicked almost down exactly to the same spot. That's a double bottom, right? You would think that's a double bottom. We got to bounce. By the way, this is Phemex. It only goes back to this right here in 2024 in Phemex. If I go to TradingView, you'll see that we've been holding this floor for a long time, and this is a bona fide, legitimate head and shoulders. So let's just go look at Solana. There it is. We got a moving average cross right here on the wick up. That's a rally. That's a bounce. Rally, failed rally, drop below the floor, head and shoulder, confirmed. This isn't the shoulder. This was. This floor right here goes back all the way to previous support and resistance, going all the way back to 2021. And we broke it. We breached it. Now, could it come back up like it did here? Yeah, could. Better do it quick, and it better get above this downward trending resistance. But if it just comes up, it can come all the way up to $1.12 or 112 rather. It can come all the way up to 112. And if it bounces there, which is logical, usually what happens whenever you break major support, you usually retest. But if it can't get back above this, then I'm afraid we're probably looking at a 30% drop, which is down to $42 on Solana. somewhere into this 50, 57, 58 or lower. And that's not based on me being bearish. That's based on technical analysis. I just want to be clear. Just based on what would happen normally in the situation. Let's go look at Ethereum. ETH. Can't type today. ETH couldn't hold above. ETH had its chance here. I mean, it was hitting resistance for 5 years. Boom, boom, all the way down. Boom, 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 down, boom. And then went through finally for the first time in 5 years, and then held the support and then fell right back through, had resistance, dropped. Couldn't get above that, that 4,200 level there. And since then, we've had upward trending support. Big, we held support here. We broke through, came all the way down. This right here was, I think, I can't remember what the reason was that. We came up and hit resistance, broke back above for the big rally up, came back, went below, retest, drop. This is over right now. Now, this happened here too. Retest, drop. But this held support on the moving average, on the SMA, and bounced. Hit the top line, came down at the bottom line, went back. This one, we're below both of it right now. Not saying that matters all too much. We do have a green candle right there. Where is the green candle starting from? Well, let's just take a line back and look. It's support. Resistance, support, bouncing. So we could just be in a channel. We could, but if it gets below this, it might already be below. It depends on where you put that line, guys. If you really touch the wicks, then it looks like it's right on it, retesting underneath on the bottom side of it. Depends on where you put it. These wicks over here. It's hard. It's hard to line these up exactly. That's why I say it's more of a price zone or range rather than an exact line in the sand there. That's why we have these wicks down below and it still holds up here. It could be right there where those held, or it could be up here, right there where those held, and we broke through and resistance, and then support. And in that case, we're underneath it. Support, breakthrough, support, wick down to it, wick up to it, resistance here. So right now it looks like we're underneath it. And we got the RSI pointing down on the weekly. If we do,
what's the RSI doing on Bitcoin, Sol, and XRP?
something interesting here though. What is this? We got a CME gap on XRP. What was the question? I'm sorry.
I was just looking at the RSI on XRP, Bitcoin, and Sol.
Yeah, you said XRP or Bitcoin XRP? Which one?
Yeah, both of those actually.
Yeah, I went over both a couple times on this call, but I'll go back and.
I mean, like just the RSI part actually.
Whoa, we got a big gap here on Bitcoin too, on the CME. On that last drop. Stochastic RSI or regular?
Yeah, either one.
What time
happened
frame?
with
You got to be really
regular?
specific. You got to be really specific. So I don't have to
Just
keep
the
asking.
regular, but how's that happen with those gaps though too? You were just looking at.
Well, that's the CME gap is different than what this is Bitcoin right now. This is the stochastic RSI on the daily time frame. And if I go to the, I normally look at the weekly on the RSI. So on the weekly, we do have support here at 74, basically, where we wick down to 74.5 or whatever it was, which is same thing that happened back here. It could be, maybe this is another falling wedge like here. The only problem with it is, unlike here, we have this cross, which this is not the death cross. This is the 21-day and the 50-day moving average, which is pretty accurate usually when they cross. And this is after the rally back up. And this tip right here was right where it was crossing. As these were getting closer and closer together, we were running up. But as soon as it crossed, it just dumped. Like back in 2021, it happened here too. We were having the same, very similar falling wedge, very similar looking. We break out, we try to run up and make a new high, and we wick right up to where the cross happens, and that's it. It just fell after that. Say again?
Niko, you see we have about 50 million in liquidity leverage at 78,241.
On Bitcoin?
Yeah. That could give us a bounce.
We have some above us too. A bounce on the liquidity? Is that what you're saying? This is liquidation. These people are going to get liquidated right here. It's coming. Boom. It's going to drop below that. I mean, we did kind of bounce on it temporarily, but I have a feeling it's going to drop below that. It's Monday. Normally Mondays are bouncing days. Normally we drop during Sunday night, which happened, and we bounce out on Monday night, but I don't know, something's in the air. Something different is happening to me this week and my feelings of things.
Yeah, you're not kidding. So much is happening differently.
Yeah, it doesn't let me see Model 3 anymore.
Yeah, I can't get mine to work either.
What's that?
I can't get my 3 to work either.
I think it's paid. That's a paid. You got to pay for that one. You got to log in. You got to create an account and all that stuff on Coin. Yeah, it's weird, guys. I mean, we definitely have some different perspective going on around the world. It's not just me or Chad or anybody else. You know, I don't know if there is a wrong or a right. It's more like, to me, it's if this, then that. It's like, I agree that we could have a huge swell and a huge pump to the upside if certain things happen, but I don't see that happening, right? I see the buying, I don't see the buying pressure. I see crashes. I see gold and silver crashing. I see fraud in the silver market causing doubt and fear there. I see Bitcoin losing its hold, losing billions of dollars in outflows coming out, going into other projects, even with some of the biggest players right now. You got Michael Saylor panicking right now. You got
Hey, I
Epstein.
posted Model 3 in the chat if you want to take a look.
What time frame are you on?
48. Do you want one
No,
shorter?
no, it's okay. I mean, we do got a lot of liquidity above us here. This is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And we got some down here in the 70 and below the 75 range as well. The question is this liquidity? This could be stop losses on shorts, or they could be, I'm pretty sure this is a liquidation heat map. So they have to be stop losses or people's liquidation. That's where
And
people are getting liquidated.
here's the 24-hour.
Do a 12-hour also, if you don't mind. A lot of longs will get liquidated down here, guys.
Then
John or Chad or anybody, Bill, got any opinions on the heat map?
Price likes to go to it like it's a magnet. Doesn't always. Sometimes it goes the wrong direction first. It's like anything else. Nothing's perfect. It's a confluence. But the longer is the older. And the brighter is the more money. Right? So it tends to go to the older heat first, but not always. Your higher time frame charts are more of your swing traders, your high time frame traders, and then Model 3 is for scalpers. So it's not bad to look at, Model 2 and Model 1. It's not bad.
Yeah, we just cut through this already.
Like Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Like he's looking for red cherries.
Right. But guys, I've seen it not go to the orange first, so you got to be careful there. I think what we're seeing also, in addition, well, I'm getting less negative in my shorts, so let's see what's causing that. Might be Bitcoin. Let's go to Bitcoin. I was up about $4,000 last night when when these three shorts dropped down to 75K on Bitcoin. I was like, damn, I was thinking about closing it out on that bounce because I knew that we'd probably get a bounce before coming lower. But as you can see right here, guys, I mean, what did we fall out of? We fell out of a downward trending channel and we're coming up to retest. Now, it does look like a possible W. I'm not going to count that as a W right now. We got a lower low here. And so far we have a lower high and we're below the channel. Could it be retesting right now on this channel before dropping lower? Or is it going to come back into this channel and come up higher and make a higher high at 84K and get above this and make a higher high and all that stuff? Is that going to happen right now for Bitcoin? I mean, if you had to put a gun to my head and told me to pick one, I would think lower lows first before I would say higher highs, just based on the overall downward stepping pattern from way up here already. And the fact that we're down in the 70s, guys, is, I mean, that's telling for me. But I'm all for a big pump to the upside. I'm all for it. The one thing we do have going is that we do have this I mean, we did break out of a downward trending channel, and we are creating somewhat of a bear flag up against support, which is this 70, which is this major support level going all the way back for a while now. So if it breaks below that, then all hell's breaking loose. Yes. And we'll probably drop down and create another bear flag underneath this level. Unless we just get a really long wick down like we did back on October 10th and it just pops back up really fast after retesting. That, when you see that happen, guys, that's an indication of a bottom. This is not an indication of a bottom because it doesn't come out fast. You know, there's an old saying in trading is that, you know, the bottom is in if you didn't have time to catch it. Because usually when it hits the bottom, boom, it climbs out fast. It doesn't linger around down there to continue to kiss the bottom.
That sort of happened with XRP at 151 a little bit. Niko, I don't know if you're still trading at CC USDT, but I made a few good trades on that, and it's really like trading nice in that channel that we had there the other day. It's CC USDT.
Yeah, here it is right here. Keeps breaking out. I mean, we broke out of the flag. We had a nice cup and handle. It broke out. It's still on its upward trend. You know, I gave that long signal in the group last week, and it's been pumping ever since. But I got taken out because I moved my stop loss in profit, and I was a little uncertain about it. But it does look very bullish, and it's definitely not correlating with Bitcoin or anything else.
Yeah.
And
is that a cup and handle?
That's a big cup and handle, but you know, it's new on the chart on the platform. So, you know, I don't know what the whole chart looks like going back in history, but that is definitely a cup and handle with a bull flag on the right side. Like normal, that's a typical, stereotypical, you know, pattern.
Get it up to 12 cents or something.
I'm gonna bring it from this breakout here. And yeah, I'll bring it up to about 23 cents or so.
Holy shit, nice.
And it's moving. It's been consistently moving.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And there's a lot of good news about Canton out there. I mean, it's a positive token.
It's moving right in that channel that you drew, but I put a stop loss at 17.5 last night, and it went to 17.48.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
maybe too close. I would if you're expecting something to continue to run, but it has these big ups and downs like this. If we just look at this channel where we hit the top, hit the bottom, hit the top, hit the bottom, you need to keep your stop loss away from the bottom. But if you entered down here, then you could certainly have your stop loss in profit. But I wouldn't move it too close to where it could still come and hit the bottom of the upward channel, because you'll get taken out, especially if you think it's going to continue. But in other words, play this one for the longer game rather than, unless you want to scalp. If you're scalping profits, go ahead and close it when you're in profit and wait for the bounce and then short it here. Wait for close that scalp out here. Wait for the bounce, go long here. You know, that kind of thing. But I think you'd be better off just staying in a long position here with your stop loss out of the way until it breaks the upward trend, because it probably is going to go up here to the 26-cent range based on the pattern that it's here right now. It's just not doing it quickly. It's
if you go to like the 15-minute, it's right in the apex. It's on that support, and it's right coming into an apex now.
Yeah, even on these lower time frames, it looks like it's creating little mini. I wouldn't, on this one, I would just look at the bigger picture. But yeah, in the upward trending channel here, it's definitely.
Where would you put your stop loss at?
I mean, I wouldn't enter right now. It's right in the middle of the channel. I would wait for it to either touch the bottom of the upward trend line. If it's going up all the way to the top, you might want to wait for that if you're going to short, but I wouldn't even short this one. This is an upward trending coin right now. I would try to get in on the touch of the bottom upward trend.
I put my entry in a day or two ago, so I'm in positive.
What price did you get in?
16.
Oh, so somewhere down here in the bottom then.
Yes.
Okay, good. Good for you. Well, then you should have a stop loss probably at least under this drop right here at about 17.3 or 0.173.
That's
Thank
what
you.
I was. That's where I got taken out. I was at 7.5.
Yeah, it's got to be under the line. So in case, you know, you want it to be able to come down and test that line. But if you put it here now, are you already out or you're still in it from that
I'm
place?
still in.
Okay. So I would just leave it there for now, because if this comes down and hits this line again, you don't want it to come down this low, and then it goes up and then comes down and hit this line again, then you would move this stop loss under this one. And then once it bounces here and goes up higher, you would then move it under this one, so on and so forth. Strategically. Till it finally breaks through and takes you out. But maybe it won't. Maybe it'll just keep making higher highs. If I would have stayed in that trade when I gave it back here, holy shit, I don't even know. I'd be up thousands and thousands.
Right, but Niko, we got taken out at 16.1 that next morning.
Yeah, this is it right here. It came down and took us out.
Yep. But I got back in on that next drop on the call. I got back in and made some money on to 19.
Yeah, the first time I gave that signal about it, though, it was way before it even broke out of the cup and handle. Canton right here.
I like the way this one's trading. It's like, it seems like it's predictable.
Oh, yeah. I see now. Yeah, that was at 16.
16.1. 16.1, yeah.
I thought I talked about that earlier in the week, but I guess I didn't.
No, but we got back in, Niko. We got back in the next day on the call at like 17.4 or something, and we wrote it up to 19.
Yes, Rivka. Lisa, Niko, do you ever buy VIX leaps to cover stock market crops? I don't personally, but I do understand about it. I mean, I have invested in the VIX before, but not to cover the drops. Oh, by the way, guys, Bill is basics call. Very important. If you're new or relatively new, the basics call is starting at 2 p.m., which is in 2 minutes from now. Bill has posted that in the Zoom chat that we're on right now. Also, he posted it in the announcements channel in our Discord right here. He also posted in the trades chat right here. I like your new meme there, or your what is it called? Banner for that thumbnail. And also in the Zoom chat. So we're going to wrap it up here, guys. Let me just go back real quick and take a look here. We got CC, which I'm not in any trades. I am openly short right now from my signal channel from yesterday in these three right here. Bitcoin short, Solana, and XRP. Here's my entries and everything. This was my current positions when I gave it yesterday. And this has increased. I increased my contracts on XRP up to 5,000. I have a whole Bitcoin on the short here. And let's just go back over there. See what's going on. I was negative about $800 when we started this call. I'm now negative 200. So the reason why is because it's starting to come down from its little peak here. It could be that it is bouncing on this and I just don't have this in the right spot. Maybe it's bouncing on that right now. Maybe not. And we could stay in this little channel right here and hit this, or we can get right back up into that downward trending falling channel that it's been in for, well, let's see. Since January, we've been in a falling channel on Bitcoin. Now that's just the most recent one, but if we go a little bit further than that, it's possible that that's just the second touch point of an overall bigger downward trending channel, which could look like this. It's all perspective. And this one, damn it, come on. There's just a little hiccup on the way. But this could very well be the bounce. We definitely had some major support over here, and we had major resistance over here. And that is a major support and resistance zone right there at 74, between 70. I would say this whole zone here, guys, 68K to 75. Excuse me. 68K to 75, because that was the previous all-time high at 68K, and 73.8, 74 was when we finally broke it for the first time. And then we held support here, and we are hitting it again now. So that is a long running support and resistance level. And we would literally have to break through that and get below the 70, somewhere in the 60s, for me to think, okay, this time it's keep the shorts going time. But right now, you never know. We could bounce and come all the way back up to the 89K range. But to me, we're still in a downward trending channel for the time being. I will update you if I see any changes there. Chad, of course, be on the lookout for his signals and his ideas as well. When we both have sometimes different opinions on what might happen in the short term or long term, but not trying to confuse you guys, but just trying to give you every possible viewpoint and outlook based on every possible indication, based on history, is what I'm trying to do. This time could be different, but it also might not be. All right. Let's see. Okay, guys, get on the basics call with Bill right now, especially if you're new. I highly recommend it, especially if you have any more questions, even for me. Just ask Bill. He has all the answers. And I will see you guys. What's today? Monday. Get on Chad's call tomorrow night. I'm going to be in the chat, obviously. I will be posting videos, update videos, anything that I see happening that I think is important. I will let you know my thoughts on that in my Signal channel. And then I'll see you on Wednesday on my Wednesday call. And that's it for now. If you have any questions, just ask it in the main chat or send me a DM. All right,
Have
guys.
a good one, Niko.
YouTube. Thank you. Hayes, yes, it needs the Clarity Act.